forum to speak? I saw several on the agenda item.
No one.
Okay. That was agenda item number 3. Visitor Citizens Forum. No one signed up to speak for that. However, I think I saw others that would be speaking as agenda items, which is more than welcome. Agenda item number 4, public recognition. Anyone? All right, we're good in that, so we'll move on to agenda item number 5, employee recognition. Oh, you have
I do.
public
I don't
recognition
know if this is working.
or employee?
Maybe if I turn it on. How's
That
that?
usually helps.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'd like to publicly, for Debbie and her staff in the library, I want to thank them for having such an awesome experience for our children. I had someone that lives south of us, like way down south, and they came and saw our library and all the things that are scheduled. And they're like, our place doesn't do this, and their town has like 100,000 people.
Wow.
So Debbie and her staff are the bomb, because they get outdone even the bigger cities. And I just told them, call Debbie, she'll help you. She'll tell you how she does it. So, I don't know if they do, but I just wanted to give her kudos for that.
Well, I've heard tons of compliments for our librarian, especially Debbie. I know Debbie does a great job, without a doubt. So,
And on my behalf of my family, I want to thank everybody who sent out the condolences and the flowers from the city. Really appreciate that. I really did. Thank you.
yes, sir. Okay. Also, in employee recognition, we have a presentation for our police sergeant, police chief, Candy Benavides. Candy, would you please come up? Okay, for everyone in attendance, council, consider, Candy just completed her 40th year working for the city of Devine. 40 years, that's a long time. And, I heard her talking the other day about how she started and what have you. She just kind of kept working up, and then she became our police chief. And I'll read the message on here. 40-year service award presented to Candy Benavides in recognition of your outstanding dedication and commitment to the community and your leadership to the Devine Police Department. December 10th, 2024. Speech. You're more than welcome to speak in relation.
No, I would just like to say, I really appreciate that y'all took the time out to recognize me, and I couldn't have done it on my own. It was the support of the city, and of course, all of my officers. And so I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Isn't it? All right, now we have agenda item number 6. Consider approval of council minutes from regular meeting October 15, 2024. Special meeting October 22nd, 2024. Special meeting November 7th, 2024, and regular meeting November 19th, 2024. Debbie, I'll start with you because you always seem to find everything that might be wrong.
I did send them to Dora, and she resent them, I guess, today, earlier this morning with her.
Yeah.
And I did note, she did all they were very little hooplas, like, nothing big.
All right, so everything's good for you?
Everything's good for me
All
now.
right. Okay, anybody else?
Then I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes for, what are they? October 15th, November 7th, and November 19th, October 22nd.
And
With
November, and November 7th.
October 15, October 22, November 7th, and November 19th,
Got it. Okay.
as corrected from.
Well, if they're presented in the
Secretary of
packet,
State.
that's all you need to,
Mhm.
if they're presented in the packet, that's all you need to say, I believe. Okay? Okay, we have a second from Jeff. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Josh absent. All right. Okay, agenda item number 7, presentation from Community Unlimited Water and Sewer Rate Study. This is brought to us by Administrator Jordan and Community Unlimited. Just to kind of brief everyone, we enlisted the service of this organization. It's at no cost to us, and it provides very valuable service. We have a lot of things going on with our utilities here, our rates and such. We haven't had a rate increase in 6 to 7 years, and the one that we did have didn't even cover operations and maintenance. So Mr. Gonzalez here prepared a utility rate analysis for us to go on. We decided we wanted to go with somebody neutral rather than us decide on our own. He's familiar with this. He does it on an everyday basis. So at this time, Mr. Gonzalez.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to work with your committee on this particular task. A little bit about Communities Unlimited. I've been working for them for 21 years. And prior to that, I worked with Texas Rural Water for almost 9 years. Hello? There we go. Is that better? I'm sorry. I'll start over. Anyways, a little bit about Communities Unlimited, and it's a nonprofit corporation. My home office is in Arkansas, and we're part of a national group that works on through grants with USDA, Office of Community Services, EPA, and some other state foundations grants. And we provide this technical assistance service at no cost to communities. Most of my work comes from USDA borrowers or USDA applicants. On this particular occasion, it was brought up to me by the community that requested I think the funder that we chose was Office of Community Services, OCS. Your MHI level just made the threshold to help the audit at no cost. A little bit about me, I have been, like I said prior, working 20 years with them and 9 years with Texas Rural Water, also as a technical assistance provider. In fact, I used to visit some of your operators there when I worked with Texas Rural Water. That program was a little different than this one. This one is more comprehensive. We don't just bring you the information to work on your own. We actually help you with an end product, which is what this is. My main office is in Brownsville, Texas, and I am the South Texas coordinator. I have a staff of 4.5. One particular person, the one that initially started this project, is part-time with me and part-time with regionalization. And then Cammie here is one of my staff, and her office is in or she works out of Pleasanton. And so she's new, and she helped me out with the rate study. We worked on it together. She's learning quite a bit. And so that's that's kind of the background that I have on this. And just to give you, I worked with Ellendorf, I worked with Somerset, Benton City, Atascosa Water Supply Corporation, Natalia, McCoy, El Oso Water Supplies. Those are some of my clients. In fact, I'm supposed to retire in 21 days, but I extended my stay for 3 more months to find someone to replace me.
Did we wear you out with that?
Yeah, so the timing was good on this. In fact, I was telling my colleague, I got a call from Poteet yesterday also that they need some help. So Tammy will be visiting with them tomorrow. Again, I'm grateful for the opportunity, Mr. Jordan, to work on this project. Tammy and I completed the rate study. Do you want me to proceed using go page by page, or?
No, sir, if you could just do the executive summary, give us the overall outcome, how you came to the conclusion that you came to,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, basically the way this begins, and you're gonna find this on the summary, but just to give you a little bit of background, we met with your management team on several occasions. We collected information. The main source of the information was the budget, and we collected audited information, and of course, the funding information as well. And so that was critical to completing, and billing, 12 months of billing information so that we can get an idea of your growth and an idea of what your average water usage is per customer, and plus your billing information. So the beginning with the overview, again, it repeats what I said, that this was funded through the Office of Community Services, Health and Human Services grant. We examined, as I said before, meet existing and proposed new debt service projections, which you do. And our target was to maintain an operating ratio of 105 or greater. The analysis follows standards set forth by the American Water Works principles of water rate fees and charges. Financial requirements and sustainability, that just kind of gives you an introduction as to, we want to make sure that you have sufficient revenues to meet the current debt obligations, to meet projected debt obligations, and to provide for an adequate capital repair and replacement reserve. Provide for an efficient operation and maintenance of the system. Specific requirements are often included in either the system bond ordinances, letters of conditions, and loan agreements. And that's where I was telling you that with USDA, when they respond with what they call the letter of conditions, they define how much is going to be loaned, how much is going to be granted. And in that letter of conditions, if you sign it, one of the items that is required is for you to provide a rate study, and that's where we come in. And we do the rate study at no cost to the community for USDA. So that's kind of the scope of our work. A little bit, I mentioned the operating ratio. The operating ratio, the definition is shown on page 4. It's a comparison of the system expenses or revenues. Very simple. A 1.0 means you break even. A 1.05 means that we're trying to target a 5% contingency, depending on how much water you sell. Whether maybe it rained a lot, you're not going to sell that much water. So, you know, we try to target, we don't want you to just break even, we wanna have, the industry standard is 1.1. But for affordability purposes, we use 1.05 unless the community requests, no, this is too little, we need a little bit more cushion than this. The coverage ratio is an indicator of your ability to repay your debt. That's something we look at also. The industry standard is 1.25. In other words, you have to have sufficient revenues to cover not only the debt payment, but 1.25, 25% more than what your debt. So that is also a target ratio. But for USDA, that ratio is 1.10. So it's a little less. Now, there's also, we talked about AWWA standards, and they kind of suggest that you set aside a capital repair and replacement funding. And you can see that in red, I posted that no consideration was given to capital repair at this time due to the rate increase affordability concerns that I had. So I kind of backed off of that for now, unless I hear something different from you all and say, you know, you didn't leave me enough money to set money aside. But the amount of debt is so great that I really don't think we need to consider that at this time. The operating reserves, I think you have, I don't remember on your bank accounts, you should have some reserves in there. And an operating reserve is money that you need to run your operation for 2 or 3 months. Should the worst happen and something happens to your water plant, something happens to your flooding, you still need to cash flow your operation in the city. And that's, that, I did not look at that. And I assume that you have some money set aside in some reserves in the bank. And then it talks a little bit about what type of rate structures you have, which is a flat fee. That's very common for sewer customers, single block rate or uniform. And decreasing block rate, that's kind of dumb. We wouldn't allow you to have that. And increasing block rate is probably the standard in the industry. And it is, what that means is you have multi-tiers system. The more water you use, the more you pay. And so that's kind of what we follow. And again, the analysis considers revenues required to meet anticipated operating expenses. Once again, the debt, principal and interest, not just the interest, as well as reserves and capital projects. Depreciation is not a required cash expenditure, but that's kind of like the same thing as capital reserves. On page, let's see. Seven. This is kind of pie-shaped of your water operating expenses. And you can see that the biggest piece goes into, most of it goes into, looks like payroll. And then the next biggest piece is the training and travel and some of the other expenses that are listed there on that table. So we go to page 8, and this is where we start getting a little bit more serious. You'll see 2 columns. One that says 2024 on the left. That's what your budget indicates. That's a copy of your budget. And you notice that it shows debt service interest of $64,967. The column to the right is projected. That's where we come in, Tammy and I, and that's for what is it that they're missing here that needs to be added to the rate study. Perhaps it's the new debt, perhaps it's something else. Maybe it's an increase in O&M. So if you look now on the projected side, if you look at your debt service, this is principal and interest with the new debt, which is close to almost $1 million, 9.5, just under 9.5.
Would that be the pipe replacement, the asbestos line replacement?
It's whatever your bond, the bond sales were.
Give you the payments.
Oh, no, I was just wondering what the specific.
It's the asbestos project, it's the water tower, or the tanks, sorry. And then the lead and copper. And then one old bond and water meters.
Okay, so lead and copper doesn't come in for quite a while. We've already
Sorry,
borrowed for it?
Mark already calculated it into this figure.
Okay. But there, okay, just real quick, not to stop you, but are we not expecting some funds for that?
Yes, that's calculated into this number too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, ouch.
Yep,
Okay, that's what I
Exactly.
was asking, okay.
exactly. And if you look on the left-hand side again on 2024, you were, according to the budget, you were in the plus 322,586. But when you add the full cost of your debt service, now you're projected to be $500,000 short to cover your expenses. So that becomes our job, to figure out how you're gonna cover them. Any questions? So far? Okay, so how do we do that? And on, see, I lost track of the pages. Not used to. On page 9, you'll see that when we start planning for your new debt and for your rate increase, it's over a 5-year period. And you'll see the water sales remain constant over the 5 years. You really have very little growth. Unless I miss something, you don't have too many new customers. So that doesn't help. And then the other fees, they're in there and they're constant all the way over the 5 years. What changes is, if you look at the debt service, you'll see the projected increase starting in 2025, 2026, 27, 28. And you'll notice that your operating expenses are increasing. And I was modest with the projection on inflation at 2%. I'm thinking it's gonna be more than like 2 to 2.5. So, but just to give you a picture of that, if you look at the bottom line, net income all the way across, if you do nothing, in 5 years, you're gonna be in the negative 715,000. So something has to be done. You're already obligated to that debt, you gotta repay it. Right?
And of course, that's just water.
So on page 10, you see the same thing, the chart, but for the sewer. And then on page 11, you see a profile sheet, very similar to the one for water, except with the sewer. On the left side, you have the 2024 budget, and you can see that unless I miss something, that you're not gonna break even on the sewer budget. You're also gonna be in the minus. And I kind of quizzed the staff on that, and I said, how can it possibly, be such a difference? And one of the things that was explained to me is that part of the, excuse me, sorry, part of the Public Works.
Yes, sir.
Staff is also contributes to helping out. So a big chunk of the public works staff that helps out on the wastewater is also being funded from here. And that's what I think caused your shortfall there also. So if you look at the projected, I put the full cost of, you really don't have any sewer debt. I think one of those early bond sales, part of it was for wastewater improvements, so I allocated that portion to sewer, which I estimate to be 46,000, almost 47,000. And you can see that if you do nothing, there again, you're projected to take a shortfall in the sewer. So on page 12, you see the 5-year projection. And again, if you do nothing, you'll be in the loss 674,000 by 2028, unless the staff or somebody can tell me that I misinterpreted some of the information. This is what we came up with based on your budget, based on your debt service, and so that's where we stand. So on page, the next page, '13, gosh, I gotta do something about that. You'll see the same thing that you saw in the other sheets, but you notice that both the water and the sewer have 3 levels. The first one is a break even, and the second, the middle one is the target ratio that I talked about, a 1.05. So on the water side, if you go down to the 5th year, in order to break even, we need an increase of water that'll produce $846,000. And on the sewer, pretty close, 749,000 also. So what does that translate to?
1.55 million. Yep.
Translates to a profit.
That's
So on page 14, you see where the current water rates are. And we estimated that you need a little over 48% rate increase in water to cover that 5-year span. Can you phase it in? Probably you could, but it's too late because I think your first payment starts next year, and you won't be ready for it if you don't start increasing the rate increase on the water. And then on the sewer, it's the same thing. It's almost gonna double there. I wish I had better news, but this is what we came up with. It's a tough decision, sympathize with, but that's the cost of doing business. We always try to suggest that you increase 3 to 5% every year just to maintain pace with inflation. That's not even considering new debt and stuff. You gotta take care of your system. And obviously, I don't know how old the community is, but I'm pretty sure your water lines have never been replaced, and you probably need to replace some of your elevated storage and things like that that the engineer required. This is not something that the city council just brought up out of the air. You had consultants that you relied on to tell you what you need to maintain compliance with TCEQ, and also to maintain compliance with the new bond requirements. And so that's where we stand. If you have any questions, I'll try to address them.
Just want to kind of sum up a little bit, because I know it's hard for everyone out there to follow, because they don't have the books that we do. Long story short, in order for us to get even, and we're not talking, what was it, based on 5 years, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, so after 5 years, so what we're looking at, what was recommended by this commission, on water rates, a 50% increase is recommended, and then on sewer rates, 100% increase. Oh wait, I got it backwards. Sewer is recommended 50%, and then,
No, you
go
had
ahead,
it right.
you had it right.
You had it right.
There are a lot of numbers, there's a
50%
lot
of
of
the
columns.
water.
And so,
Unless you rework the sewer budget, I don't see how you can
yeah,
lower that impact.
right.
But the water, there's no choice. I mean, you've already borrowed that money and you've got to pay it back.
Right. So like I said, we've gone 6-7 years without any increase whatsoever, and now we're gonna have one. We've already implemented one for the beginning of the new year. And then, the second phase of it will begin in October, I believe, correct, guys? So, but it didn't match what you have, but we will try to get there.
That's just pretty darn good.
Pretty close. It's close.
Very
It was
close.
100% on the sewer?
Within pennies.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, I went back.
Oh, after the second. phase.
What we said we were gonna do in January,
Mhm.
and then in
In October,
October.
Right, okay.
It matches this within pennies,
right.
so I think we did.
After both of them, yeah. So hopefully that gets us started and such. So,
Wish I had better news. I'm just,
it doesn't
again,
matter.
I'm grateful for the opportunity, and if I can help in any way, let me know. I've already changed my phone number.
Yeah.
We got 3 months to call you, huh? See, now we have somebody else to blame.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, but, thank you very much. It's an honor working with your community. This is the first time like I said, I've worked before with your operators but this is, I've been waiting for this for some time. It came in at the end of my tenure, but, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy retirement.
We surely appreciate it. And also, they say there's a considerable amount of money anytime you have studies and research done as a city government, it can be quite expensive. So they help us out in that respect also. Right. Any comments, council, with regards to the presentation? David, what you got?
I'm not a counselor, but I'd just like to say thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, for stepping in and helping us get this study over the finish line, you and Cammie. And it's been a pleasure to work with y'all through this process. I learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we move on to agenda item number 8. Consider and act upon the upkeep of the four corners on State Highway 173 and State Highway 132, which is smack dab downtown here in Devine. David, please initiate.
Yes, sir. I was contacted by Ms. Miriam from the Garden Club in reference to the upkeep and maintenance of the four corners, and she had some concerns and questions regarding a sign that had been placed up at that location. So just some communication need to be had on in reference to who is responsible for what, and who has say so on authority, I guess, for lack of a better word. If you'd like to.
And I believe I saw at least four people to speak on this item.
I think
Is that
about
correct?
4 or 5.
They're just with the garden club as well.
Okay, are they to speak or they're just here to represent?
I'm here to represent.
Okay.
Okay.
Miriam, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening to Mr. Mayor, council members, and the staff. I don't know if any of y'all know the history of behind the Garden Club, but we have been in existence for over 77 years. 77 years ago, 35 ladies noticed that these corners, which is at 132 and 173, known as the Four Corners to everyone, they were horrible, dilapidated, full of weeds, trash. So these 35 ladies made a club, the Devine Garden Club, and took the initiative to talk to the Texas Highway Department and tell them how hideous these corners looked. Back then, nobody cared. Well, these ladies cared, and we care now. So basically, we are here because we have a major concern as to what's going on with these corners, with all the stakes that continue every single year to be put into those grounds. We don't own these corners. They do belong to the state of Texas. But they entrusted us, the Garden Club, 77 years ago, to maintain them, to repair them, and do the upkeep of these corners. Now, if we wouldn't have done this, can you imagine what those corners would look like? No crepe myrtles, no rose bushes, plumbagos, nothing. They would just be there like any other corner in all of Texas. So it is our responsibility and duty to continue this. The only problem is that we continue to have these stakes put into the ground. So last year, may I present this information to you?
Of course.
Thank you. This is just a brief summary of what we have spent in 2023 and 2024. There you go. And here you go. Thank you, you're welcome. As you can see, we are close to $2,700 in 2023 and 24, just on repairs alone, on the mulch that we supply, new rose bushes that had to be put in. We take care of this. And every single time that stakes get put into the grounds at these corners, they're breaking our pipes, they're breaking our water system, they're breaking our sprinklers down there. And we are the ones who have to hire people to help us out. One of our club members this past summer, he's an older gentleman, was out there in the heat, digging trenches out, trying to find the breakages. So can you imagine how he was? I mean, we can only do so much. I mean, we're all basically all ladies here, and that one gentleman that we have, he comes all the way from Hondo. He's one of our members to dig and dig to look for these breakages. And sure enough, you can see, and we took pictures of them, I just didn't get a chance to develop them, to show them to y'all, but you can see where these T-posts are puncturing our, our lines. What are we gonna do about this? We have asked and asked, we have put things in the paper. Everybody that I speak to pretty much tells me, oh, you're not in charge. The Garden Club has nothing to do with this. These are our corners that we take care of. I don't see anybody out there pulling weeds or planting or digging. It is our group that continues to do so, to maintain them. What are we gonna do to resolve this? Because these posts continue to stay there. I mean, the signs are beautiful, you guys. I mean, they're gorgeous Christmas signs, they are, but these T-posts and these huge wooden posts that continue to be dug into the ground keep breaking our sprinkler systems. So we pretty much are here to find resolution as to what are we going to do to stop this. Because we're pretty much tired of paying for all of these repairs.
Debbie, go ahead.
I thought that last year on the Scoots corner and the Chamber corner, I'm not too sure about the Pico corner, but on those other two corners, I thought we had put,
We put posts
those,
inside the ground.
yeah, the holes were dug and
That is
so that
correct.
you just use the metal, posts put in and they would stay there forever. You don't have to, take them out, put them in. They would just be there so signs could just be put up.
Exactly, and we truly appreciate that, and that was the whole intention, The intention was.
So we're not
somebody-
using those, is what
No.
you're telling me?
Exactly.
Oh.
If you go out there and take a
Oh.
look at the scoots, all the T-posts are dug into the ground.
Oh, Lord.
And you know they're breaking our sprinkler systems.
Yeah.
So does somebody not have to have some kind of a permit to put those signs out there?
Well, we have asked time and time again, organizations to ask the garden club. I've even spoken to some of these members of these organizations, but they still defy it. They still go and do whatever they want.
Just
I have
seems
been
like-
told so many different
It
things.
just seems like within the city limits, there should be
I do know
some
we
kind of
told the EMA
process.
to go to the garden club
required.
last Christmas. I know we did.
I thought we allowed them to.
We said he could put them in, but nothing staked. You know, whatever he was putting up, nothing to stake in the ground. But for any others, he would have to go to the garden club. I know we told him to do that.
Well,
But
nobody told us this year anything or asked.
So the garden club controls all four corners, is that, I mean, I just saw a contract here.
Right, that was
Basically-
2,000 or something.
We were
That was
entrusted to, maintain them, repair them, take care of them 77 years ago. And that's what we have been dedicated ourselves to as a garden club. But we're really tired of having to pay so much money and, so much work.
That needs to stop.
It does, but I need
Even
the
if the
help
city
of the
was paying for
city.
those repairs, it needs to stop regardless. Whoever's paying for it, it needs to stop.
It does, and I really appreciate that, but how are we going to stop organizations from doing this? And we had promised the Scoots Corner several months ago, they respectfully called me and they asked if they could put wreaths across America, and they know the stipulations of put your banner tied to the flag post that you're gonna be putting into the in-ground post that we put there for you. So now, how do I go back? And I had to explain to Wreaths Across America, look, Devine Market Association did not request to have that out there, yet their sign is posted out there with stakes. So I'm not sure where you're gonna be able to put your Wreaths Across America sign. Because that was already promised to them months ago. They asked permission and they knew they had to go into those in-ground poles. So we have churches, we have Scoots, and we have Pico Corner right now with huge posts out there.
that Pico one is giant.
Yeah, it's pretty bad,
Here's my thoughts on this,
okay?
okay? Number one, y'all do wonderful work.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
and these
And-
ladies,
and I've
some of
seen
our
that.
groups are here.
I mean, my shop is what, 100 feet away, so I see everything that y'all do, every time you do, and obviously it's much appreciated. I used to have a landscape and irrigation company, okay? So, those irrigation lines can be mapped, okay, with just a little bit of effort. They're very logical, okay, pipes are gonna run a certain way, and so forth, all right? So that's number one, we can get those corners mapped as far as where the irrigation lines are. Most lateral lines are anywhere only from 6 to 8 feet in the ground. Okay, they're not 2 feet down, okay, the lateral lines are easy to find most of the time, and so forth, okay? Then, if anyone wants to put something up on the four corners, and you know, the four corners, it's more than just four corners, as you well know, okay? We don't have a town square, we don't have big, you know, marquees and so forth, so on to announce our community events and such and so forth. So it's a great tool also for local clubs and organizations to get out their message because of the amount of traffic that goes through there.
I
Okay?
agree.
So as far as the repair, so let's say somebody wants to put something up on a corner. Okay, well, they will be required to get the map, make sure where they put it doesn't conflict with any of the lines. The sprinkler heads are easy to see, okay? And if they do not, okay, and damage the pipe or something like that, they should be responsible to pay for it.
I agree, Mr. Mayor, but it's also really tough to get people to pay you.
Get people to what?
To pay the bill, because I
Not
could
that went
just,
through us.
I could just imagine, well, you know, we didn't do that. I mean,
So see to me, okay, obviously you couldn't enforce it, okay? But if they had to come to the city to get a permit or a nominal fee, or if it's it's not so much a permit, because we're not gonna allow a private business to put stuff on the four
Correct.
corners, right? Okay, and then if they didn't do what they were supposed to do, right, then unfortunately, they'll get fined, they have to pay for the repair. Okay, and then in that case, we can take the repair completely off of your shoulders, okay? We can send our, it's not hard to repair, and by the way, it's not hard to find leaks, okay? Once again,
We
because
did
you can
have a
see.
few that were really difficult
Yeah,
to find.
Yeah, because you can see, for the most part, I mean, it may not be directly above the pipe, but it's gonna be nearby. So, and if they don't correspond, then they get fined by us, or they pay for the repair. And we as a city, we should be able to enforce that.
Well, and I think if they're coming in and actually signing something to that
Right.
effect,
Right.
then that threat of that then all of a sudden changes things. It's like, and then they, within that, they can be educated that the in-ground, I highly encourage use of this. If you don't, then you have to use this map, and any damages will be, paid by you. And if they're signing off on that with the city, then that does at least put a deterrent for even doing it in the first place.
So then it wouldn't be on you to pay any of the money,
Okay.
So, and then,
Now, who would map out the grids for finding where all the lines are?
I'm sure we'll figure that out.
Thank you. We
Shouldn't be that
appreciate
many lines, it's only
No.
about 10 by
It's
15.
very small, like for
Maybe
example,
put in like 3 or 4, maybe at different times.
Just
So,
It's probably
they don't take the
zigzag in
older
there.
out.
Yeah,
Just
you're
saying.
right, they're zigzag.
Yeah.
So.
So who controls the water system? Is it completely on? I mean, constantly? I mean,
it's automatic.
it's automatic?
Yes, sir.
So nobody goes and shuts it off?
We do abide by the City of Devine regulations as far as getting those corners watered according to once a week, and we do have it on a timer, so we don't waste any excess water.
You also have hose bibs on the corners? In
Yes.
addition to, okay, on each corner?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, our goal is to continue having these corners as beautiful as we possibly can. But when there's so many repairs that we have to do and the grass is dying, it hurts us. Because, I mean, all these years that, we have put so much into it, and we want to maintain them pretty.
Sure.
I mean, those are the highlight of the City of Devine. Everybody knows the four corners, and we take pride in that.
Right, so like I say, so let's just say, occasionally they may not put something back in. For example, normally on the perimeter of what have you, those lines are running approximately 6 inches inside of the sprinkler heads. Okay, they're not directly beneath the sprinkler head, okay, because you have swing joints in it. Okay, so, well, let's just say they came to the city, they paid a nominal permit fee or whatever, which we could turn around and reimburse to you, okay, for the money that you put in with mulch and new plants and such, right? And then if they happen to hit a head or a line or something that wasn't mapped, well, it's not their fault, we fix it.
Well, and they also shouldn't be allowed to damage the turf in a great way if they're sitting out there, because I think the whole thing is just better to take it off of y'all. And then this money that you're spending on repairs gets spent on further beautification. Our whole goal here is to beautify the city, so,
Correct.
which is your goal. So
Correct.
we all are on the same side.
Absolutely, and
Well,
I
if there's
appreciate that.
permanent things in the ground already, why are they digging? Why is anyone digging?
Well, I think they set,
additional?
well, you set them up for 8 feet, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Those silver pipes that stick up,
I'm
those
not
are 8
sure
foot signs?
how big or the length of them are,
Right.
because we have them at the Scoops Corner and we have them at the Church's Corner.
Yeah, but what you do, okay, if you do that, Debbie, then you're limiting the organization who, or whatever, to only one sign. They may have nice elaborate ideas that they may want to use. They may not even, some of them may need to be stuck in the ground, some of them may not. Okay, so that gives them a variety of what they can do, rather than just a 4x8 sign, or.
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but if we were gonna set it up that they could have, like, let's say two, so both sides traffic is, we could set that up already for them, so no one has to dig. That's where I was going with it. Why can't we have it set up like Scoots and churches? So no one has to ever dig.
True, you could do that. You could put two sizes in the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to dig,
Yeah.
okay?
People dug these ones, so,
If you put it, okay, the city put up the one on Pecos, okay? The 4x4s.
I was hoping they did.
Yes, the city did that, okay?
That's
But
massive,
when you
too.
drive a T-post in the ground, it's not harming the turf and it's not digging, okay?
I'm just saying, if we did that, then we take all the problem away.
Well,
We take the problem of people digging and wrecking the stuff. If you wanna do permits, I don't care, but that would be up to them to give us that
then you're just
permission.
suggesting to have something catty corner to the four corners, on each corner, okay? And you would have to specify a size, okay? And right now, if I'm not mistaken, those are approximately 8 foot, okay? The full sheet of plywood is 8 foot, the full sheet of signboard is 8 foot, okay? So then you're limiting them just to that, it's overkill. Anyway,
So how do you pick an organization just to put their stuff in a corner?
you don't pick it.
They come to
make
us.
a request. and-
So you can only have
First
one organization in one corner, or
Well,
can you
we
have
have-
multiple?
we-
I mean, like Hondo, you can drive down Hondo and you see all those beautiful signs.
Yeah, but they go along the street.
Yeah, exactly, but all we have here is the four corners.
Right.
Right, we only have allowed in the past nonprofit organizations, of course, City of Devine, and of course, our police department here. And pretty much those are all the organizations that we have allowed, just nonprofit.
Oh, I think it's great nonprofit. Nobody should be able to put up a business sign and advertise.
Exactly. And we
Not only
have
that,
taken-
TxDOT's not gonna allow that either, it's in the state
Yeah.
right away.
And we have taken some down. I mean, I've taken some down.
Well, then
We
people
don't
put
allow,
political signs there, and we remove them too.
yes,
As
we
a
don't
city.
allow political signs either,
Right.
because, you
Right,
know.
no, not at all.
But nonprofit organizations, we do, as long as they have the courtesy to ask if they can put it out there.
Well, and if they're going through some kind of a vetting process too, we just don't want it to, I don't think anybody here wants that to look trashy.
Exactly.
So if there's just somebody randomly, hammering a little stake sign in the ground, that's pretty soon it just looks trashy.
It does, it
And,
does.
so,
And that's what was breaking the pipes.
yeah,
It
I
was.
think
It was.
that
Wire
maybe-
stakes,
Huh?
little wire stakes that break the
No, not
pipes.
the wire ones. I don't think the wire ones ever did, but the wood ones. The wood ones.
We have had so many different types of things out there, and I have seen the damage myself. And there are literally holes put into the PVC pipes.
yeah, they're hammering pipes or whatever.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, Mr. Mayor, the conclusion will be,
Well, we have to vote on every, but my idea right now is, okay, you've had some good input, Debbie, great ideas from you. Perhaps we can take all that and come up with a policy with regards to it, and then present it at the next meeting or so.
Yeah, I mean, we need to let the city kind of work
We would
this
need
out.
the garden club to vote on it too,
Absolutely.
because they have to
we
say, okay.
would have our next meeting in January, and we can present this to the membership as well, and let them know the ideas that we will be working with the City of Devine.
Well, maybe in the meantime, you could work together with David and
Absolutely.
come up with a plan and a document and that everybody's happy with. And,
He might be tired of seeing me there all the time. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure.
We really appreciate this, and look forward to hearing from you.
Well, I think
Thank you.
if we just get everybody working together, get
Absolutely.
us on the same page, it'll work out well in the future. And if
Yeah, because we
there
want to
might be a-
continue
there might be-
beautifying Devine, you know?
Yeah, so hopefully we can get you a little bit of revenue, okay? With the small permits and whatever we come up with. That was just my thoughts, my idea, so.
and taking the repairs off of you takes
Exactly.
care of a lot of expense right
Oh,
there.
And
absolutely.
I think the city mows the grass now.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
We're very appreciative of that.
Yeah.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
we'll get it figured out.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all have a good evening.
All right, everybody. Agenda item number 9. consider and act upon using the balance of the ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan, money for streets. Administrator Jordan found some money still left from ARPA funds, and we are allowed to use them on streets. David, please.
That's Mayor and Council. As you know, we received about $1.1 million for American Rescue Plan money. Initially, that money was earmarked and designated for 2 generators. Once we got to the location and did the calculations, it was determined that you could buy 3 generators, which the city did. We have 2 of those generators installed and currently have 1 remaining. However, the money in the American Rescue Plan has to be contractually obligated before December 31st, 2024, or otherwise it goes back to the government. So we currently have $455,266.74 in the account. The 3rd generator, as I stated, is still in Houston and needs some additional parts to it. So long story short, we will not have enough time to contractually obligate that money for the generator installation. So my recommendation was going to be to consider paying for the next item, which is streets. That would be a considerable portion of the American Rescue Plan money to go pay for the streets for the city, which is authorized to do.
And this is after Malone and Zigzag? Or is this?
No, this is before Malone and Zigzag. It's $455,266 in the American Rescue Plan money account.
So most of that would be paid for. If we went with D Plata, then most of that would be covered.
Correct. There's a difference of $129,303.09 that
Right.
that is not covered. So
That's a deal.
that's the next item. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I just wanted to bring that particular balance, that particular note to the council about recommendation whether American Rescue Plan money can be contractually obligated before December 31st, and the city will not lose it. And it goes for a great cause, in my opinion.
So if we say it's for streets, if we say we're gonna direct it for streets, but we don't have to do the streets until March or April, correct?
Correct.
We're just earmarking the money
Correct.
before the end of the year.
Contractually obligating the money before December 31st.
So does that require us to make a motion for that?
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion that we use the remainder of the ARPA money towards completing our street projects.
$455,266.74.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Jeff to use the balance of the ARPA money for our street projects. We have a second from Debbie. The amount of money is $455,266. Any further discussion, council?
So, the company that's gonna do it's not the same company that we had before, correct?
Well, that's the next agenda. item.
Okay, all right.
All we're talking about is
All right.
encumbering the money.
Nope, let's go.
Okay. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Josh absent. Okay, moving on. Agenda item number 10. Consider and act upon awarding a bid to D Plata Construction for the 2024 street improvements of Zigzag and West Malone. And council, you should have in your packet the result from all that.
Well, it looks to me like most of the other bids were considerably higher than D Plata.
Yeah, there was one fairly close.
One
One was outrageous.
at 1.4 million. You know, that's, and what was, can you refresh my memory, what was the company that did the last 2 streets?
Wayne Rogers.
Wayne Rogers.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And also that this is all also set up to be done the same way we just did Bright, whatever, where they removed the old
Yes.
surface, repair the base, and 2 inches of asphalt.
Turned out beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, they got a puddle over there on north right, right past the intersection with it, Henry. So, anyway,
So who's this one again?
D Plata.
I'm sorry.
So are we going with them because they're a lower bid, or?
Yeah, it just says D period Plata.
recommended.
Okay, so we went out for bid, just for background on this, we went out for bid, I ran in the paper for 3 weeks, and then we had our bid opening on November 28th. I believe that was the date.
November 27th.
27th was the date, and then, as you see in the packet, these are the order that the bids came in. Mr. Garcia was in charge of that process.
And did I read correctly that if we approve moving forward on this, that if the weather permits, they can start on this in January?
Yes, they can start in
Yeah,
January.
as long as the temperature and everything is good.
Can I please say don't do that in January? Because they did my street in January years ago, and it's still ruined, like, still horrid. So can we do it when it's warm? Like
Yes.
March, April?
Yes, temperature is very important when we do asphalt laying, so we have to consider that.
I mean, we're spending this kind of money. I don't want it wasted.
Yeah, but we don't know what the weather's gonna be like even in March or April. Normally it gets cold and, when is rodeo? It's either in March or February.
It's still, that's back to yo-yo weather.
It could very well be still cool, but in January, you know it's not gonna be 90 degrees.
What's the minimum temperature that you work with in 2 inches of asphalt?
I think as long as it's about, I would say 70 degrees, then laying asphalt speed is okay. But you don't want to go any colder than that.
Of course, these streets are fairly long, so it's not like they can come in and do them in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you happen to catch a nice week of weather, that doesn't mean the following week will be. So, but the main thing right now is just awarding the bid.
Yep.
And then when we decide to do it and so forth. Obviously, Debbie, I agree with you, we should do it when we get count on some warmer weather.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay? Anything else to offer?
Sure.
Raul, you have any comments?
No comments. We had 10 bidders, and I checked their references, and D Plateaus came back with some really good references, and I've worked with them before with the city of San Antonio on several street projects, probably about 10 years ago. So I know him and his family pretty well.
Well, that would be my question, because the previous company we're very pleased with, and if they can match the quality of that work, it's a no-brainer.
Yes.
All right.
It sounds good to me. It just,
All right, council, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, oh my gosh, my brain just went dead. Award the bid to D Plateau. Is that who you were saying?
D Plata.
D Plata, sorry, you know I'm not good at this. For the streets for Zigzag and Malone Drive.
Okay, we have a motion from Debbie to award the bid to Plata Construction for the street improvements, Zigzag and West Malone Drive.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Ray. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, JR.
Agenda item number 11, 6S Engineering is not ready at this time. David, you want to add anything to that?
No, sir.
Okay.
They request we come back to another meeting.
Right, so we will have to table that. Do I have a motion to table from someone?
Make a motion, we table.
That's
Item
okay.
11.
All right. We have a motion to table from Debbie. Item 11, the cost estimate for replacement of pumps in the pump room of War Center.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Ray. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Consider and act upon the final revision for the ASR contract. This is a water proposal from the county coalition. And I think David or Tom, you speak with regards to the contract. we voted to participate in this. For the time being, we could always pull out, apparently. Okay, so, David, you got some comments on the contract?
It's basically the same contract, they just added additional personnel or additional cities to the contract. The initial study was funded by the county for $92,000. The county funded that, and the calculation is based upon how many meters you have in the community, in the city. There are no firm, they have been approved for the aquifer storage through Region L, and they're looking for funding for hundreds of millions of dollars to pay for that. So obviously the city don't have that kind of money, but as the mayor said, we can pull out at any time. Each city has a board of directors, has a member on the thing for as a board of directors, which they can vote and so forth. It has been reviewed by Tom once again, and he still gives the same recommendation of approval. There's still no obligation other than what was already identified on the initial contract.
I agree with that. There were no substantive changes made to the agreement that was presented to us a couple of months ago to the final agreements.
And we could still
We can still.
step away if we wanted to at a later date, with no penalty.
Right, but
The only penalty would be the city would still be responsible for their portion of whatever was budgeted during the year that they drew.
Yes, but we don't, right now, nothing's budgeted, so
Nothing's budgeted.
we're still good.
I don't think they have budgeted it.
No, they haven't budgeted anything. I've been kind of watching this one.
it's gonna take a while. It's not gonna happen overnight.
No, but I'm glad they're looking for grants, and I'm happy that they're doing that.
Oh, they have
I'm-
to.
Oh, well, we can't afford it.
Right, well, nobody can. So,
So do we need a motion for this?
approve, it was revised, so we need to.
I'll make the motion that we approve the revised ASR agreement.
Okay, we have a motion from Debbie to approve the final revision for the ASR contract.
I'll second.
Have a second from Jeff. Anything further? All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Agenda item 13, consider and act upon approving the rental contract for hangar 8 and 8A to Mario McGee. David?
Yes, as you're all aware, we've been repairing number one, the hangars 10 and 8 Alpha, in this case, hangar 6, Bay 8, and Bay 8. Hangar 8 and 8 Alpha that was repaired, Vortex, the money was paid for by a ramp grant, and it was ready for, to be rented. We did have a couple different companies, individuals show interest in that location. But at the end of the day, our runway is not sufficient to that type of aircraft and type of work that they wanted to do at that location. So they eventually backed up. Actually, Mr. Mario McGee from Mario Aviation approached me in reference to that location. Came out and looked at it. Him and Pete, when he went out and inspected the site, showed interest in renting it. This is contract proposal it was written up by City Attorney Tom in reference to that location.
I only have one thing on it, and it's the increase, the future increase that it states should say 10%, not 3%, because it's a hangar we own. It's the 3% comes for the ones that other people own the hangar and they're leasing the land from us. That's a 3%. Those can only go up 3% a year. But the hangars we own, not that we have, well, I think we did this year though. It can go up 10%. So, but if you put it in the contract that it's only gonna go up 3, I'm not saying we should say, maybe it should say up to 10%.
Okay.
That's the only thing I see on the contract, because we're limiting ourselves on this.
My question is I'm assuming that these rates, because, I haven't seen the previous rates. So I'm assuming these rates are reflective of the repairs made and so forth, and that the market rate within other similar airports in the region are 25 cents a square foot, similar?
All our other ones right now are going at 25 or 26.
Right, but I mean, I'm talking about like airports.
Yeah.
But yes, we're in the ballpark-ish.
Okay, because I just wasn't sure what the going rate was for, I mean, that's kind of like warehouse space, like, you know, I
Well,
wasn't sure what the going rate
It also depends too on what kind of amenities that the hangar may have.
Right,
So,
Okay.
that is it's pretty much the
the
base.
going rate. Okay. Then I'll move on.
Is that something, Tom, we can just pencil in?
Yes.
10% versus 3%? So it doesn't have to be all typed all over again.
Sure, we can do that, you know, if that's what the council wants to do.
Well, is the 3%, is that closer to representing the actual cost of living increase? Or are we just trying to
Well-
increase the rent?
I know since I've been on council, we have raised them 10%, I think twice. And, the other years we just did like 5 or 6. I mean, it was nominal, like little. But I think the 3% we've hit every year for the ones we only lease the land.
Have we presented this contract to him already, the way it sits? Now, if we increase it to 10%, is that gonna change his
Well, it could,
mind?
and that's what I'm saying, we don't
That's what
have a
I'm worried
long
about.
line of
Right.
tenants wishing to lease that building. that
But
we
they
could-
only go up once a year, and that would be at our budget time that we just had. So it's not gonna go up again until 20,
But the contract's already been presented to him,
Yeah.
so if we increase it,
You could back up.
he could back out.
okay, so that's 2 of your biggest hangars. You're limiting yourselves to not going up in price.
I understand it's the
Suggestion.
biggest hangers, but we don't have a line of people that are gonna rent them out.
Suggestion. Okay, this is a 1-year contract, right?
No, it's not.
No?
It's
5 years?
7 years. 7-year commitment.
And right now,
Oh,
it's
I
written at a
missed that.
3% increase over 7 years. So that's a, 21% increase.
3% on
And
3%.
this is also
3%.
how we pay our loan payments back.
Right.
The-
Well, I'm not arguing with the fact that
So I'm
it's
just,
revenue. I'm
I'm
arguing,
concerned.
I'm just
We
saying.
need to put 10%, not that it's gonna go that way, cause y'all might say next year, no, we only wanna go 2% or 1%.
But the concern is if he's already seen the contract this way and then we change it, is that gonna affect his decision on renting it? He just, David just said we had a couple of people here that wanted to rent it, but it doesn't accommodate what they need. This accommodates what he needs. Why would we try to push him away?
David, I agree with
That's my only concern.
Well, that's my thing, it's like, we're making revenue as long as somebody's in the building.
Right,
Um,
right now
so-
we're not making any.
How about we wait to raise those rates up
You
very
do what
much
you
until
guys
after we
do
get a
what
little
you
more
want. I'm
demand?
just looking out for the city, that's all.
that. Well, Debbie, everybody's looking out for the city.
I understand, maybe I should have worded that differently.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I
But
understand exactly what you're saying.
I'm looking out for the future for us, and if you don't want to, then don't.
Well, the biggest problem is that it's already been presented to him, he's already agreed to
Well-
it. So, some
I
of the choices you could have would be, rather than 10%, say, hey, we're sorry, council wants 5%, are you still okay?
Well,
I'm not a car salesman, so you can't go and tell him, hey, well, I got you
Right.
at 7%, they go into finance.
So my thing with any kind
15%.
of
You know?
renting or leasing has to show, you know, according to demand.
Then all
And
those
it-
other guys, though, they go up 10%, but these are only gonna go up 3%.
How do
Is
we
that
determine
equal
the
to everybody
3%?
else?
Tom, how was the 3% determined, just what it's been
3%, that's what's been in other leases, but,
of ours?
yeah, or, but, you know, like Devin was saying, a lot of the leases that we have, you know, only recently did we acquire hangars. Most of our leases have been for ground, like Devin said, it was 3%, in that respect, I mean, she's correct. This is the first time that we've been leasing hangars. For that, you know, we bought Bill Bain's hangar, we bought Glenn Eastep's hangars,
Didn't we
Great
buy
corn.
5?
and we're just now leasing those out. I think that, the Cohen's, I think that it is 3% in that on the hangar.
Well, why wasn't it more then?
I'm sorry?
Why wasn't it more since we're leasing it out ourselves, since we own the hangar?
That's what the council at that time agreed upon.
You know, this airport is a very, very, very sore subject, okay? It was a debacle, okay? And obviously, we gotta make the best of it. So, I wish it had been presented a little bit differently to the tenant. But anyway, council, you know what's
So
out
this is a
there.
5-year lease? 7?
But you know, it's tied into consumer price index. Now, if it didn't have, you know, and no event shall be adjusted more than the 3%, then it might be a little better. Anyway, that thing's been vacant. We put a lot of money into it. Since David Aylinger, since the city paid
About
him
2 years now.
an arm and a leg.
It just got redone, so about what, 6 months ago?
Yeah, give or take. Well,
I think they put oh no, that was the windows. So really, it's only been done for about 3 months, but
3 months.
still.
Again, I think the best thing to do here is to occupy.
I'm not against occupying.
And then once we get somebody occupying and others, you know, it becomes like a magnet. The more people who get involved, then more people want to be involved. And, you know, that airport's just gonna have to grow like anything else. But I think at the state it's at right now, we just need to go with what it is.
I agree. Go with what it is, and then we gotta rent out other hangars, and then we know next time they put 10% on there,
Demand will be higher
Yeah.
and do whatever.
you know? Because everybody's contract's gonna be totally different. Yeah.
all right, do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the rental contract for hangar 8 and 8A to Mario McGee.
We have a motion from Jeff to approve the rental contract, hangar 8 and 8A to Mario McGee.
I'll second.
I'm sorry. And the name of his business is Barrio Aviation. Barrio Aviation. Okay, we have a second from Michael. Further discussion. I would like to say, the city, I believe, probably close to $1 million on buying hangars for no good reason. We're making the best of it. Okay, so we're gonna get some revenue from it. First year, I think I see $14,298 here. Anyway. Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 3-1. Debbie opposed. You might have the same thing here. Okay, agenda item number 14, consider an act upon approving the rental contract for hangar 6, Bay 8 to Richard Spivey.
Sir, Mr. Mayor and Council, same process. The bay became available. Mr. Spivey contacted the city in reference to renting the bay, and we are now in contract negotiations.
So same thing then.
So here, though, you're in negotiations, he hasn't completely approved the contract.
I haven't spoken.
Okay. Okay.
So I suggest we put the 10% on this one then. If he hasn't seen the contract yet.
I've emailed the contract to him. I'll call the contact, try to contact him. He
Because
has
all those other bays go up 10%, went up 10% this year.
Right.
All of them.
I remember that.
So if we write him a contract at 3%, all those rest of those people, if they go up, let's say 8% next year, he can only go up 3.
Are they going up, or is that the cap? 10% is the cap, it can go
I think
up to
10% is the
10%.
cap, but that's what we did this year,
Yeah.
was the cap. So,
Because they were so cheap.
correct, we're trying to get them back up to the average.
Right.
Which I think we're finally getting there, but in case, can we make this one 10%?
It's up to him.
Mr. Tom?
Again, you know, that's what the council decides, yes, you can do 10%.
Well, if it would make it match the others, it'd probably be better if all those bays were the same.
That's what I'm
Because then you're
worried
gonna
about.
tick people off because
Correct.
they will find out.
I mean, they're all in a row.
Yeah, but these are the 2 contracts that we have for right now.
Right.
We can worry about that, or next council that comes along can worry about the 10%.
And he has a copy of this contract
Yeah.
as it sits, correct?
He has confidence.
Yeah.
So
it's
you've
just
seen
like
it, you can't.
So Mr.
Exactly.
Spivey has seen this contract at
So you
3%.
can't change numbers on somebody
Yes, ma'am.
who's seen it.
I'm asking the question if he's seen it.
This
because I-
contract has been emailed to Mr. Spivey, whether he's opened the email or not, I cannot say, because he has not contacted me. I've attempted to contact him via email and telephone, and he hasn't returned my call yet.
Okay, again, okay, I'm not gonna say anymore.
I think one kind of trade-off, if there's any kind of happy medium, so to speak, is the fact that these hangars are being rented at the market value right now. So the other hangars, my understanding was rented really low, at a really low value. So if you're coming up at market value with the rent, then maybe that's kind of a trade-off for now.
So it is kind of equal because they're not paying the market value at that.
No, everybody is now,
Everybody is now.
except number 10, and that we're not gonna discuss. But on bays, everybody's at market value right now.
Okay. But when they started out, they were
Oh, no, they
for
haven't
many
been
years.
for a long time, but they
Right.
are now.
So,
That's why I thought it'd be nice if everybody had the same. Otherwise, but I guess we don't.
Right.
So,
I mean, if this contract would have been sent out to us, let's say before it got sent to him, could read through it, you would have found it, I would agree with it before it got sent out. You know what I'm saying? Well,
we had agreed on it.
Well, this is what we're doing right now, so this is what, but that's his job. That's his job to send things out. You know what I'm saying?
Before we agree on it?
Well, there's nothing we can do now.
He has to
He
negotiate.
has to
Negotiate, yes, sir.
Negotiate.
I mean,
I hear what you're all saying.
Yeah.
I just think everybody should have the same needs.
But-
That's what I'm saying.
since you've been on council longer, you knew about the 10%. We didn't know anything about it. See what I'm
No,
saying?
we
So-
discussed it the last
We
budget.
did?
We've discussed it
The last
before.
2 years, we've gone up 10%.
I mean, it's not like we discussed it big time like we are right now, but
Yeah.
we have discussed
It
it.
was. You brought a whole table.
Yeah, I brought that whole
Yeah.
spreadsheet.
The one thing to consider on this, guys, okay, this particular lease, is only $300 a month,
Yeah.
okay? So 10%, $30,
$30.
you know? So, yeah,
Well, let's just go with this contract then.
well,
Okay, I make a motion to consider the approval of the rental contract on Hangar 6, Bay 8 to Richard Spivey.
okay, we have a motion from Michael to approve the rental contract as printed for Hangar 6, Bay 8 to Richard Spivey.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Ray. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 3-1. Debbie opposed. All right, guys, believe it or not, okay. Agenda item 15, consider and act upon amending ordinance, which adding a new article for limitations on registered sex offenders to establish definitions to restrict a registered sex offender from going within 1,000 feet of any child safety zone, to provide for affirmative defenses and exceptions, providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for any violation of the ordinance, with each day constituting a separate offense, and providing for severability. Who wants to speak first on this?
Lieutenant Andrews came to me, and
Oh, there he is.
He's right there for him. Lieutenant Andrews.
I ninja'd over here.
Okay, Chris, please present.
Okay, so one of the things that we found that we needed to have addressed is on certain sex offenders, like if they've done their prison time, they come out, but they still are required to register for life, that we currently don't have any kind of restrictions to prevent them from moving near a school, near a daycare, near a church, near Bible study. What we presented to Mr. Jordan was the idea, of course, with David, that's never good enough. He wants to see something in writing, put in some words, show him what we got. We did that, and We were able to get it over to Mr. Kate, who drafted it into an ordinance. We're hoping that y'all all, understand what we're trying to do. This will be able for us to prevent this from happening, where we don't have to hear from a family of, hey, why'd you let this, sex offender move, here, there, what we're calling a child safety zone, which again is school, daycare, Bible study, things like that. The parks, both of our city parks, we want to keep those people away. And it also adds some pretty profound restrictions on Halloween, where they are not able to participate in Halloween, not able to entice children to come to their home to get candy. They have to put out a sign with some specifications saying no candy, and then no exterior lights for people to come up. There's a lot of cities that we looked at that we bounced off Mr. Jordan. We finally found one that was a pretty good mix, and then Mr. Cate put his legalese on it, so this is what we have to present tonight.
Yeah, so,
And it has nothing to do with the airport, I promise.
So there was no ordinance before that covered this part?
No, sir.
That's hard to believe in 2024.
For the most part, they have some type of restrictions. If you have somebody that's moving in from another state, they're not exactly all on the same page yet. So we want to be able to do our part to be proactive to keep that from happening here.
Absolutely.
are there state restrictions or county restrictions?
Not currently. Depending on, okay, I say that. If you're on any kind of supervision, then yes, there is. But if you did your time, your quote unquote time through prison, you come out, you're considered a free person, but you're still required by law to register for life. Because of those registrations is why this ordinance is important to keep people from being able to move into these child safety zones.
Right, okay. Yeah. I was just wondering if there was something that might have been covered in the meantime, you know?
No, we're hoping to
Nothing
go
at all,
for it tonight.
except the localities. Okay.
So can I ask what happens to those who are already living in those areas that we don't know about when this ordinance takes effect? Are they grandfathered and they can still live there, or they give them so much time to move, or does that have any effect?
Currently, with the ones that we have registered in the city, we do not have that as an
Okay,
issue.
well, we're lucky.
Very much so, yes, sir.
So nobody needs to move yet?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay.
No, we're not looking to put somebody out on the streets by any means, but we just want to prevent something from occurring.
Well, this will be the time.
Let's be proactive. How awesome is that? I'd like to make a motion that we approve amending the ordinance, adding a new article for limitations on registered sex offenders to establish definitions to restrict a registered sex offender from going within 1,000 feet of any child safety zone, to provide for affirmative defenses and exceptions, providing a penalty in the amount and not to exceed $2,000 for any violation of an ordinance, with each day constituting a separate offense, and providing for severability.
All right, we have a motion.
Fast 5 times.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Well, I'm not gonna repeat all of it, I think everybody gets the gist. We have a motion from the city to accept amending an ordinance for limitations on registered sex offenders as stated.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a second from Jeff. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. The ordinance number will be 12-24. 12-24.
Thank you, guys, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris, for taking care of that.
Good work. Any informational items before we go to 17?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Thank you for the list, by the way. The last 2 meetings you put informational list, that's nice. I wish we had that all the time.
You will from now on.
I like
Yes.
that. Okay, so I have a question, and it's about our lovely water and sewer rates. Is the ordinance going to be in the paper tomorrow for the water rate hike? Because if it's not in 30 days before, we got a problem.
Newsletter.
Okay, well, the first cycle was January 15th, so if not, we can get it out. And the first cycle of charges will be January 15th, starts January 15th, 2025, the water cycle. So the new charges would be on that. We're gonna send out a newsletter this week, letting everybody know, and then we can, because, long story short, no ma'am, it's not gonna be in the paper tomorrow, it will be the following week. So they will have 3 weeks to a month between the newsletter and the newspaper.
Is that gonna cover us legally?
Yeah.
That's all
Yes.
I'm worried about. I mean, we're all gonna get calls anyway, but we need to be legal about it too.
Right.
I was just asking that. Tom?
The way that our ordinance currently reads, when we have a rate increase, it's gotta be 30 days lead-in before it can go into effect. We have to give it 30 days. That's what the
So,
ordinance is gonna say.
okay, so will the newsletter meet that, or does the ordinance have to be in the paper?
It's gotta be in the ordinance, and it's gotta be published.
So if we're gonna be like 5 days past the date, are we still,
Yes. If we can't get it in this week, we'll have to get it in next week.
okay? I just don't want more problems with this silly rate hike. Okay, I'll leave you to that, Mr. David, you'll just have all that fun for next week. Okay, did anybody look at the council reports? I mean, like, really look at them?
I looked at it.
Did you, Chris, your officers only wrote 14 tickets in the entire month of November. Wow. Wow. No wonder we can't have court every month. I'm trying not to be negative Nelly, but 14 tickets, I swear I could sit on my street and I could write you 20 a day. And I live on a residential street, so I don't know. I know we can't tell you, go write a lot of tickets. I know we can't legally say that, but 14?
Okay, remember it's informational items. Chief Benavides, would you like to address that? Are we allowed to do this in information?
I'm sorry, Candy, I didn't see you sitting over there.
That's okay.
I only saw Chris because he's sitting in my eyesight.
She's just gonna give it, she's just gonna give us information, we're not to.
Yeah, that's
it's
fine.
Informational items. So.
I totally understand what Debbie just stated, and I know that with Chris and I, since we do not have an investigator at this time, we've been kind of taking on more of that role, and so our priority has not actually been with the officers as far as seeing how much traffic they have been running. We always encourage them to get out there and, we can't tell them to write citations, but at least make contacts. And then, leave it up to them. And so,
Remember, one of our cornerstones is to educate the public, not just relentlessly.
And I'm fine with that.
yeah.
It's just, even if you're out on the street, they're gonna drive safer.
Well,
I know I do.
Once
Yes.
again, information,
Yeah.
informational, please.
But also, look, from what I understand, you just got the October one too, so that may make you feel a little bit better.
October was good. November, no.
No.
No. So what we're trying to do is try to refocus on that, and just sometimes we feel kind of like we're spread kind of thin, and so we just try to, as far as Chris and I try to get involved in every aspect of what the officers do without micromanaging them, because they know their jobs. But, and we've had some other things come up, some burglaries, things like that they've been working on. And so I can tell you is that, we're going to try to encourage them to do more. And so,
So just to let you know, just to reiterate, Mr. Jordan brought this to our attention like a week and a half ago, and we've kind of remedied that already, so.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's kind of a stickler for that kind of stuff.
All right, let's move on, please.
Sir.
Okay, thanks, thank you much. Anything else? Remember, folks, it's informational, okay? We're not to debate and such.
Well, Mr. Mayor, that's my question, because I know I've gotten into that too. So this particular item on the agenda, when it shows up every meeting, we're really not supposed to be asking questions, are we?
No.
Okay, so
So that's just for information.
so it's for sharing information, not necessarily asking questions,
Well, unless you're asking for information.
unless you're asking for information.
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to
And the reason
understand for
being-
myself, because I've had questions myself that I've refrained from asking.
The reason being is if you open it up to all of that.
Oh, I know.
You can be in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Right.
Because it's not on the agenda.
Well, that's where it's confusing, because
Yeah.
there's times when, not being kind of new to the council myself, am I allowed to ask questions, or especially with things that aren't mentioned?
Well, we've always been pretty laid back. I mean, we have a laid back operation. I mean, I never wanted to get super formal. I see no reason for it in our city. But if anyone on council has such a concern, it should be an agenda item. Agenda item, okay?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can I add a little bit to that, please? Of course, we try to send out the information as quick as possible the Wednesday before, and sometimes some information does trickle in. But we, of course, y'all don't have our open door policy, obviously, and y'all can call or email if you have a question on anything regarding the agenda or anything that's on the agenda. Any questions that you might have before the meeting, you're welcome to call or email, and we'll answer those questions and get as much information to you as possible
So
prior to the meeting.
So just to be clear, like if I was seeking an update on something we've talked about in the past, it would probably be better just to contact you before the meeting.
Right, you can,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah, y'all can contact us, call us anytime. I don't mind y'all talking to the directors as long as you don't give them instruction, you know what I'm saying, or direction. It's like according to the organizational structure. I'm confused.
Well, then I have a question.
You're not allowed to ask questions.
Well, now, okay, then I have a question then. So how do I ask this, but this is serious right here. How do we get answers of what streets had the most, traffic complaints? Like, what is that like speeding or not? You see what I'm saying? There's 20 of them, so what I'm trying to say is like, say it's your street, right? And you got 20 complaints of speeding, could we put like?
Isn't it
speed
broken
sign?
down in there? Isn't it broken down in types of offenses? I think at some point.
See, that's what I'm saying,
not
area,
where.
like, the most traffic area, the most complaint came from this area.
I don't know if they can pull.
I would have a feeling a lot of it's around the school zone on the.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to find out, if there's a street that has a lot of complaints of speeding, maybe we need to put a speeding sign there, or, you know what I'm saying, let's put it on the agenda, I'll put it on the agenda next meeting. That way we can figure out where all these complaints are
I'm not
coming.
coming back there next week.
Well, next year,
Oh, yeah, next week, well, the next meeting.
next meeting.
Yeah, I think because everyone's concerned, everybody's obviously very, very interested in it, it should definitely be on the next agenda to where we could get into further detail.
I
So,
do have one information on item that, we had the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality came down and did an inspection. They come out every couple of years to do a, no notice inspection, so to speak. We did have a couple of, they call them potential violations, but one of them is a piece of equipment that's been out of commission for the water, for the wastewater treatment plant for like 20 years. But there's no paperwork and documentation on if and when it was taken out of, if it was decommissioned. So he wrote that as an observation. As I said, if it hasn't been decommissioned, we're gonna do the paperwork to decommission it because it hasn't been in operation for 20 years and we're still passing all the necessary tests and samples and effluent to be able to release the water back out into the environment. And the second one was a little small leak that was rectified. So it's just an informational item. It's not a major violation, not a major write-up. We're
I was
gonna,
gonna ask about that. I didn't quite understand.
right.
It said potential. I was like, and that means what?
Right, so this is pending whether we have paperwork or whether we don't, and even then, it's still not gonna affect the
So
operation.
it's not a state
not a big thing. And it's not gonna cost, I mean, you know, I'm not gonna recommend $300,000 or something to decommission for 20 years to bring it back online, because, so that's only the informational.
All right, okay, that concludes agenda item 16. This time I'd like to have a 5-minute recess, and then we will resume an executive session. I guess we'll have to come back to the table.